Hello and welcome back to the Vision of Flight channel. After I had posted my 767 tutorials, I had a few people ask, how do you come up with waypoints? Basically, how do you plan a flight? So, I figured that I'd make this quick tutorial on flight planning. Now, I'm going to be using Airbus-style EFB system, but if you don't own that, it's applicable to any other flight planning software like Flight Sim Commander, or just the FMC of a aircraft add-on like the 767. So what we're going to do first is go to flightaware.com and find a flight. So here we are on flightaware.com, which is a great site in case you haven't been to it before, and I've selected a flight between Los Angeles and Denver, KLAX and KZEN. In a United Airlines Boeing 737-900, but that's not really important. What we need to look at is the route here. Now what this shows is the SID, or the departure, the transition, the jetways, the transition into the star, or the arrival, and finally the star. So we're going to go and input this into our flight planning software. Now as you can see, there doesn't appear to be a cruising altitude listed. There usually is. So we're just going to pick one. I'm going to set it at, let's say, 34,000 feet, flight level 340. And that reminds me, FlightAware only has data for inside the US, so, and I think Great Britain and Canada and Mexico. So if you're flying outside any of those countries, you're just going to have to come up with the SIDs and stars on your own. And that's where a flight planning program like this really comes in handy, because it's harder to do on an FMC. You know, you would only want to use certain SIDs and stars because of the directions they send you in. Now, most departures at KLAX start off to the west over the ocean, so we're going to pick, say, runway 25 right, and then we're going to put in our SID, our departure, loop 6, and then our transition is DAG. There we go. Insert. Now we'll just do pretty much the same thing for the Denver arrival. You can sort of see the direction that the plane was coming in. So, it's probably runway 8. And now for the approach. You're generally going to want to pick ILS. Easiest. And now I'll show you where that puts us. Now, you may notice that it's kind of convoluted around here. Normally, ATC would start vectoring you once you got close to the airport, probably. But since, you know, the default FSX ATC isn't very good, I don't fly with ATC, as, you know, a lot of people don't. So, you know, it's not the best procedures. not what you do in the real world, but I, sort of delete this waypoint because it goes right over the airport, which you wouldn't do. Just clean up the route, as I talked about in my 767 tutorial, I believe. Well, with that done, we just need to input our waypoints. So on FlightAware, to get to the actual waypoints, you're going to press this decode button, and that'll give you the list of waypoints. Now the waypoints we're going to enter are going to be between our two transitions, which are DAG and HBU. So all of these. So now I'm just going to insert them into the flight plan. So there we are. That was pretty easy. And if you fly anywhere in pretty much all of North America, and then I think Great Britain, that's all you have to do. Now, of course, I'm sure some of you are going, well, I like to fly in Germany. Where does that leave me? Well, FlightAware doesn't cover Germany, so what you're going to have to do is pick the waypoints on your own. That's going to mean finding a SID and a star that point you in the direction of where you need to go, and then you're going to need to choose the actual waypoints. Now, that seems to be where a lot of the questions are. How do I choose the waypoints? Well, there are a lot of factors. For instance, on long flights, long flights especially, on short flights also, there's winds that are taken into account. For instance, on the Los Angeles-Tokyo route, when you're flying from Los Angeles to Tokyo, take the Great Circle route, which is just, direct route. But if you're flying from Tokyo to Los Angeles, you fly a less direct route, but you're flying in the jet streams, the winds, which helps fuel economy and speed. Also, you're going to want to pick waypoints that are nearby airports, for your alternate airports, which you can actually put in the program like this and into FMCs. I don't bother. It's not very realistic, but, alternate airports are for, your plane suffers damage, you lose an engine and you have to land. Well, Flight Simulator, nothing fails unless you want it to. So there's no real point. But still, you might want to choose waypoints that are nearby airports. For instance, I don't know, I'm not very well learned in the science of flight planning, but for instance, you have this Las Vegas VOR, which is right at McCarran International, so if your plane was suffering problems around this waypoint, it'd be pretty easy to land at McCarran. Well, I believe that is it. If you have any other questions, going more in depth, like cruising altitude, how do you pick that, or, more into SIDS and stars, I'm happy to answer your questions. Talk to you later.